Hello, everybody. Kay Crystal Griffith here. How's everybody doing today? Welcome back for another daily digest of emotions, wisdom, and your body. I'm trying to figure out this new light system that I have. It seems very I'm very red. I was trying to figure that out when it decided to go live. So there we go. I am so glad that you're here as we delve deeper into how your emotions are affecting your body, soul, and spirit. And I am not a doctor. I do not play one on any social media platform, but I do have my master's in education as well as inner healing certifications and accreditations for trauma release. And really, this is geared for your edification, education, and encouragement. Today's word is weary. Have you ever been weary? Really just feeling a little beat down sometimes, right? So this is feeling or showing tiredness, especially as a result of excessive exertion or even a lack of sleep. Anybody? Maybe you're tired or you're just no longer interested in some things. The weary definition is really physically or mentally exhausted by hard work, exertion, strain, etc. You're fatigued, you're tired, you maybe even weary eyes. And really, your brain becomes weary. We're going to talk about that in just a second. And you may be just basically unable to continue or really even willing to continue on in something that you're working on. Now, let's also bring in lethargy here. Lethargy causes you to feel sleepy or fatigued, sluggish, and also weary. So, the sluggishness may be physical or mental. People with these symptoms, with both weariness and lethargicness, um, they are people who really act like they're in a daze. And that's kind of that borderline of you're weary. And then at the point that you just can't continue, you probably have moved into a lethargy. That's when you're moving more slowly than usual. And really, that can actually be caused by a number of other things that I wanted to bring in today. The first one is carbon monoxide poisoning. So when's the last time you checked those batteries, folks, in your carbon monoxide detectors, as well as your fire alarms? It's now winter. It's a great time to check them instead of 2:15 in the morning, like mine tend to go off, right? So double check that because that actually can be one of the very first signs, plus a headache, where you just literally cannot keep your eyes open. Also, dehydration can cause this type of weariness into lethargic. Fever, a lot of people experience this lethargy from COVID. When I had it, I literally could not walk 5 feet, and it took every ounce of strength I had in me to even make it to a bathroom. And then after that, I would just have to sit on the potty and just kind of go, okay, I can't fall asleep here. It was that bad. And so for a lot of people that you may be still suffering from some of the symptoms, it probably took almost 12 weeks for me to really get back to what I would deem a good energy level after I had it. You can also have hyperthyroidism or hypothyroidism. You can also have some brain swelling. Maybe you've recently had a concussion or a traumatic brain injury or a head hit. You may have even been in a car accident. So if you're at this place where you're feeling this dazed effect and it's ongoing, it's not just because you didn't sleep well the night before, it's really worth getting checked out. There's a number of other things like Lyme disease, meningitis, pituitary diseases, nutritional deficiencies. Sleep apnea is huge for this. I know my friend, when she finally got diagnosed properly, got her CPAP, it took her almost 4 months to really begin to feel like she got sleep. That could be huge for your brain. Also, a stroke can also count into some of these. I would tell you any type of situation where you have been physically affected in your body, like a stroke would do, or a traumatic brain injury, or concussion, or something on that order. Even some major surgeries, like heart surgery. You can run into this particular lethargic attitude within your body, within your brain, within your emotions. And that's something that you definitely need to recover from. Now, if it continues past that point, we are now into a whole nother set of circumstances that we should pay attention to. Now, lethargy can also be a result of some mental health conditions, such as major depressive disorder, postpartum depression, premenstrual syndrome. A lot of people don't realize how exhausting it is to have your period every 30 days. So men, listen up. There is a reason we are exhausted at that point. So don't push those buttons. Lethargy can also be a side effect of taking certain medications. So if you, again, you have not had a medication review recently with your GP or the doctors that are actually coordinating that care, I want to encourage you to do that. Oftentimes we go to this doctor and get this pill, and this doctor and get this pill, and this doctor and get this pill, and none of those doctors talk to each other. And so it's really, really important that you have a GP or someone coordinating your care that can assess all of those medications and make sure there's no interactions and that they're not going to actually cancel each other out. I've actually seen that happen where people were taking so many that they didn't even realize that this one was canceling out this one, and that's why they weren't getting what they needed to out of either one of them. So really having somebody coordinate that care is super important. Now, is this a positive or negative emotion? Weariness, lethargy. So I'm going to go with negative. I have yet to find anything out there that would tell me otherwise. So weariness really causes your brain to function incorrectly. It's leading to difficulty sleeping, headaches, even fainting spells. And because of chronic fatigue syndrome, it's been linked to disruptions to the immune system, and it can make your body absolutely more susceptible to infection. So there's irritability, reduced alertness, concentration, memory or lack of motivation, increase in mistakes, lapses in judgment, headaches, and increased susceptibility to really a variety of illnesses, not just the big C that's out there, but a variety of ones. So can you be too weary or too fatigued? Well, as this prolongs within your body, there is an intense mental and physical activity that begins to take place with that sleep loss and disrupted sleep. When you're not able to release those toxins at night, when your body fully can rest and your brain can, obviously your brain can't turn off or you die, right? But your brain does go into a deeper level of functionality where it can release those toxins out of your system, almost like taking out the garbage. And when we're not able to get into REM sleep fully 4 to 5 hours a night, yes, I said 4 to 5 hours a night in deep REM sleep, we're not able to fully cleanse all of the capacities that we need to. And so we're going to wake up disrupted. We're going to wake up exhausted. We're going to wake up still having that mental cognitive fog. And so we want you to be able to sleep well. I've got some great tools to help you with that. So if you need some help, make sure you PM me and I'll be happy to do that. Travel organizational change can also create all kinds of disruption in your system, can it? Irregular work schedules, excessively long shifts. If you're doing overnights and you're not able to then sleep during the day because now you got to take care of the kids, and then you sleep while maybe they're at school, well, now they're not at school. They're working from home, most of them. So if that's the case, when are you actually sleeping? And so your body can only go so long on that kind of organization in your life. And the fact is we do the best that we can with what we have when we have it. There is no guilt or shame here. Okay, this is not about condemnation. This is, though, about you realizing that your health is at stake. And so how can we best support you as you have to have that particular schedule to move through until you don't have to have that particular schedule? And so I would really encourage you, ask your boss if there's an opportunity to realign that work schedule. So perhaps you can be on a different work schedule and one that you're actually getting some decent sleep at. Strenuous activities. If you are a construction person or you're out there working on concrete or you're working out on the roads, or any number of strenuous activity, house construction as well. I was thinking road construction because there's so much of that going on around here, but strenuous activity to that point where you're constantly moving and you're not actually allowing your body to rest in between those breaks. That actually can also create a body weariness as well. Long commutes to and from work. It is amazing what sitting in a car will do to your body, isn't it? Yep. So I would really encourage you, think about what you're listening to on the radio. What can you do to activate your brain in a different way so your body can feel refreshed by the time it gets to work and by the time it gets back home? Because as soon as you get to work, you're on. And as soon as you get home, you're on. So that is your your capacity to decompress from work or, handling it from home, getting to work. But in there, it's also an opportunity for you to revitalize yourself. And so how can you best do that? It's going to depend on your music. It's going to depend on what books you're listening to or what podcasts you're listening to. And so I want you to just think about what you're being influenced by to really revive yourself with your body, soul, and spirit by the time you get to the next place. Workers at high risk are really those who are shift workers, night workers, those who fly in, who fly out, who drive in, who drive out, seasonal workers, that's a big one, on-call workers, because they have such a rotating schedule, or they're on for 48 and then they're off for 24. Those are our firemen, those are our nurses, those are our doctors, have a little bit more flexibility over their schedule than the nurses tend to do. But, those on-call emergency service providers, EMS, EMTs, military, especially if they're overseas, they are technically on call 24/7 while they're over there. And a lot of people don't realize that. And even here, I know the person that I was married to worked in the operating room on the bases. And so we actually could not live outside a 20-minute radius of the base, because he had to be able to get into the hospital should something be needed within that 20 minutes. So just food for thought as you're walking through here to figure that out. Medical professionals and other health workers, realizing that what you're choosing to do, we thank you so much for doing. Like, there is a sacrifice involved. Absolutely. We don't want that sacrifice to be your health. And so we want you to really take care of yourself. So how can you help yourself? Well, the first one that I really wanted to focus on was the spiritual weariness. And so sometimes we're just so weary by the season that we are in, and it's like constant attack all the time, or constant challenges all the time. And you are physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually exhausted. And that weariness has turned into a lethargic relationship really with the Lord. And we're so dazed to even be there. And maybe you're not going to church, or you're not even attending online because you're like, I can't, it's one more thing right now, right? And we don't want you to think about your relationship with the Lord as just one more thing. We want you to be refreshed, just like Jesus was in the desert, and just like Elijah was by the Lord when he had been chased down, right? He was absolutely exhausted being chased down. And the funny thing is, Elijah had just won this huge victory, right? Huge victory over 30,000 false prophets who were just amazing story. And then he somehow gets wind of this little old lady who's going to try and come and take him out. He just takes out 30,000 people. And this little old queen is like scaring the bejesus out of him. And so he runs off into the desert. He's exhausted. It takes a lot to make a stand in your life. It takes a lot to walk in what you're walking in, truth and integrity. And in reality, you don't think it does, but when you're constantly fighting those battles all the time, it does. It takes a toll on you, right? Because you're constantly having to be aware of what you have to not only protect yourself from, but what you're in the middle of, right? And to be able to take that stand like Elijah did. And so when he runs off, what does God do though? He sends the birds to bring him food. He brings them water. He tells them to lay down and take a nap. Folks, you heard the prescription from the Lord. Take a nap. You are allowed to take a nap. I love that. My great grandmother, anytime that there was chaos going on, they had a huge fire on their farm one time, she told me, and she would always go upstairs, and they lived in the same house for quite a while at the end there. I love that house. And she would go upstairs to take a nap. And people would be like, what is going on? And I recall her telling me one time something so horrible had happened that she slept for almost 3 days. And when she woke up, she got up, she goes, okay, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. It's almost like the Lord downloaded to her while she was sleeping what she needed to do. They got it done, and things happened and moved and shifted and changed. And I just remember that so well. I'm like, I like that prescription, Grandma, or we called her Mimi. But I like that prescription because I tend to find myself doing the same. If the chaos has gotten so much, if there's an opportunity for me just to close my eyes for a few minutes and get a new download, that's what I do. So how can you become refreshed again? We want that spiritual weariness to really be revitalized within your spirit of truth and joy and life. And we want you to be able to walk in the fullness of the joy that lives within you, right? So remember, Jesus and many, many other leaders within the Bible pulled away to spend time in prayer and find solitude, reconnect, rejuvenate, and really just get refreshed. Now, one thing I've always taught my clients is something that I stumbled into probably about 6 years ago, and it might have been 7 now. And I realized that about every quarter of the year, I needed to go away. No kiddo, no spouse, no friends, no nothing, and just go away, whether that was to a hotel. We have a couple of retreat centers around here that I just love, and we got great deals. And I would go for about 4 days. 3 days always seemed too short. By the time you got there, you unpacked, you were packing to leave, right? But 4 days seemed to work just great, where I was there for 3 solid nights. I'd leave first thing in the morning. I'd get my kiddo off to school, and I'd be gone that whole day. That was my first night. And I would not come back until very late the fourth night, where the kiddo was already in bed. And so that gave me really solid 72 hours of just being Crystal again. Oftentimes we forget who we are with all the hats that we have to wear and all the labels that we have, like daughter and sister and wife and caretaker and trainer and coach and all of those labels. But we need to remember who we are first and foremost, who God has created us to be, which is His child. And sometimes we just need to reconnect with our Father and just be loved on by Him and love on Him. And so I want to encourage you now. With everything that we have going on, that is a little more difficult to do. I have not been able to take my vacation in about a year. And I can tell you, I feel it. And, sometimes it's a matter of, okay, can I call my friend to come get my kiddo? And we swapped situations where she gets mine and then I'll take hers. And then we have at least a day to ourselves where we're not working and we're not cleaning the house and we're not doing the laundry and we're not playing catch up. We're just being, right? When's the last time you were just being? And that's what I want to encourage you. That is the number one way to combat weariness. It's just to be in the moment, right? And we've talked about present in the moment. This is slightly different. It's just about being you. Another one is actually staying connected to community for long-term progress. We've had a really tough year in which we haven't been able to be connected in 2020. And so how do we find ways? It was super fun that I got to reconnect with some high school buddies during 2020 on Zoom. It was something we hadn't thought to do before then. And so it was just a neat experience to get to hear catching up with their lives and seeing where they're going. And then work to refocus on what's most important. All those games have been sitting dusty on your shelves. Pull them out. Start playing all your games, doing all your puzzles, invent some new games. My kiddo had to invent a game one time for an art class. That was fun. We still have that one. The veterinarianopoly game. You also need to eat well, get rest. Really, those are big, big, big pieces. If all you do is eat all the sugar, it's not going to help you. It's just not. And sugar clouds your brain anyways, with a variety of other things we've never even talked about here, but we could have that conversation. And really, you don't want to compound your stress, right? You don't want to compound not being able to connect because you're just so still like in a sugar coma. And so we want to help you, like make smart choices, right? So what are your 3 wisdom verses today? Isaiah 40:29. He who gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. God's there to give you the strength that you need, especially to refresh you. Matthew 6:6. But you, when you go into your inner room, close your door and pray to your Father who is in the secret, and your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. When we come away to reconnect in those moments, He is going to see us and He's going to honor that obedience because that's one of the directives He's given us, as well as the opportunity to reconnect with Him. And then Proverbs 3:6. In everything you do, put God first, and He will direct you and crown your efforts with success. We want you to be successful. And most of all, God wants you to be successful. So how are you going to use this new information of weariness, of being lethargic, in that exasperated effect of that weariness, right? Expanded version of it. Remember, wisdom is the hearing, the understanding, the application. And we want you to have the best application possible to come out of that weariness and receive a refreshing. So here are your 3 questions. How has weariness been showing up in your life? Has it been negative? And why? And how can you transform weariness in your life by wisdom, understanding, and knowledge as you walk in it moving forward? You have the opportunity to shift and change things in your life. And sometimes we think it's all about what somebody else is going to do. And a lot of times it's really just about us. It's about us really taking the bull by the horn sometimes and going, you know what? I'm not going to stay where I've been. I'm going to make a change. And part of that is really going to start in your heart. Part of that is going to start in your head. And then when those two come together, look out, world, change is coming. Because then we get right with the Lord when we've reconnected with him. And when we can hear him clearly and we can hear him direct our steps, man, 2021, look out, here you come. So take the scriptures, add your names, personalize it. Tomorrow's word is energetic. We have this weariness, but really, what does it look like to be energetic? And no, not like crazy energetic. Well, I guess you could be. I like the Holy Ghost energetic. That one's really fun. So join us tomorrow for more on emotions, wisdom, and your body. Register at kcrystalgriffith.com to receive more insights and your feelings wheel. And until then, you guys have a blessed day. Take care.